We found this book in a charity shop. It was written a long time ago, and as well as saying how to train your butler adequately, it also has various recipes in. What year was this written in, Ed?
1861.
1861.
And who wrote it?
Mrs. Beeton, who I'm sure was every woman's idol. So, Christmas cake, here we go. First thing. Well, the first thing, whatever anyone does, wash your hands. Hands washed and dried. Second most important thing before you start anything, get your oven ready. Here we have an oven. And any temperature, get those out. And middle to lower shelf, I would say. Now, Mrs. Beeton, they didn't have gas marks. It's probably meant to be cooked over a charcoal oven or something. But we're going to go for how she describes a moderate oven, which is gas mark 4. Okay, so right, forget all the ingredients, hold on. Butter. We need, is this the 1 teacupful of melted butter? Melt it, but do not.
We worked that out at 100 grams, didn't we?
Yeah, but what does it mean by melted but not oiled? Does it mean softened?
Melted but not runny.
I'm going to use flora. Do I have to use real butter?
You don't have to.
Right,
We have got some.
I keep the butter for my toast. Okay. So yeah, after much internet
Googling.
searching, we discovered that a teacup was, and this is my handy cheat for ever, to lessen washing up. Put your receptacle on your scales, and then you keep the pan clean for your dry ingredients. So we now have it at 0. So we're going to put 4 ounces of butter or fat in the jug. They only had butter, I suppose, didn't they, in those days?
Mm-hmm.
They'd have had to have been fairly rich, I would have thought, to afford butter, but who knows. Right, so now that's got to melt but not oil. Do you think it's a typo and it meant boil?
No, boiling butter wouldn't be very good, would it, really?
No. Right, so there we go. I'm going to soften that. Now we have to put the flour into a basin. Well, it's 5 teacupfuls of flour. Again, we calculated this to be 500 grams. Doesn't say I've got to sieve it. Good. I'm not going to bother then. Right. It's 500 grams of plain flour, which luckily comes in a little bag already measured, because I don't really use plain flour very often. There we go, there's your 500 grams of flour. And add to it the sugar. Okay, so that is 1 teacupful of moist sugar. You said it said muscovado sugar earlier.
Well, again, I googled moist sugar and it came up with muscovado sugar.
Oh.
But then Co-op didn't have any muscovado sugar, they only had
Well,
moist sugar,
I'm sure
which
this
looks
dark
like...
brown soft sugar, it's what we used to have on our porridge years ago. How much was it? 1 teacupful. Oh, and if anyone in the States is watching this, apparently, well no, I suppose it wouldn't make your... before you do anything, put your sieve back to 0. Might come in rather handy.
It's a Victorian teacupful, isn't it?
Yes, so don't use American teacup, it's definitely Victorian.
Which is what, 100 grams
100
or
grams.
4 ounces?
4 ounces, yeah. So what did I need for this? 4 ounces of 1 teacupful of moist sugar, yeah. Ginger. Half an ounce of powdered ginger. Well, an ounce is 28 grams. So half an ounce is
14 grams.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to get this off without ruining my nails.
Can I do it?
14 grams. Well, 5 grams is a teaspoon, so I'm going to put 3 teaspoons in. Because that sounds about right. 1, 2. And you've always said you're partial to a bit of ginger, so.
Yep, I do like a
quite
ginger
happy.
tart.
Yeah, thank you. Right. What next? Raisins. Half a pound of raisins. Okie dokie. Slightly more, I think, here, Ed, than half a pound of raisins.
Yeah, that's fine, I can have them in my porridge for breakfast.
Got 8 ounces of raisins there, which otherwise known as half a pound. Right, okay, when these dry ingredients are thoroughly mixed, bit of mixing, nothing like a nice bit of stirring, a hobby that I'm renowned for. Here we go. Now some of the sugar has gone quite lumpy actually when I pulled it out of the bag, so it probably is quite important to sort of just check that there's no massive lumps in there. Okay.
So you're using a wooden spoon now?
I am. I thought we'd go for authenticity, even though I'm using a nice purple plastic bowl rather than one of those Victorian beige jobbies. Okay, next thing. When these dry ingredients are thoroughly mixed, stir in the butter, cream. How much cream? A teacupful, 4 ounces again. So this isn't quite melted. I'm just going to give this. That was the butter that I'd melted for 20 seconds. Treacle. No, a teacup of cream. Where's the cream? Oh, Merlin, you love the cream, didn't you? So, there we go. Give that to the cat. There you go, darling. 4 ounces of cream. Oh yes, put that away. 4 ounces of treacle. Now, a lot of people, particularly in the Midlands, it seems to me, as my father is and husband, think treacle is what us southerners know as golden syrup. It isn't. Treacle is black molasses. Similar tin, but red rather than green. So, oh, I hate this stuff. Oh, it's disgusting. It tastes like molasses. Alright, so another 4 ounces of this. What does that taste of? A bit like licorice. Okay. Another. Right, and this is where you end up with this manky tin at the back of your kitchen cupboards, never to be used again. However, handy trick, likewise with using paint, if before you put it away, give it a good wipe with a clean cloth, rinsed out in hot water, clean the edges. May seem like a faff, but it's worth it when your husband comes up with another bonkers idea as to making something disgusting out of another book. There we go. Pop that on nice and clean, rinse your cloth, ready for use in a second. There we go. Now the other wet ingredients: butter, cream, treacle and well whisked eggs. 2 eggs. Because I absolutely love using as few dishes etc. as possible when baking, I am now going to pour the eggs in with the treacle and cream. Oh no, butter, sorry. And use this jug for well whisked eggs. A bit of wrist action, but probably not as good as eggs. I think they're fairly well. That'll do. Right, so that goes in there. Then what do we have to do? Right, so now this all goes together in here. So you've got your cream, your melted butter, your treacle and your well whisked eggs. So there we go. And apparently, normally I'd be using my handheld whisker for this, but I've been banned because it's not authentic. So it does say a couple of minutes actually. So it seems to me very, very dry, and I'd be tempted to add some alcohol to this because it's turned into some sort of, can't we put some booze in it? Okay. So dissolve the soda in the vinegar. Oh yeah, add it to the dough. And be particular that these latter ingredients are well incorporated with the others. They're going to fizz, aren't they? So that's 1 teaspoon of carbonate of soda, which I've argued with lovely Edward here, I don't think is the same. Have you got it out already?
Yeah.
I don't think it's the same as bicarb because I've looked it up and the chemical mix is different, but we're going to go with it and see what happens. So that's 1 teaspoon of carbonate of soda, a bit more fill up, and 1 tablespoon of vinegar. I think this is going to make it fizz, and if we're going to add alcohol, I wonder if we should do it now. This is the important question. Are we adding alcohol or not?
Go for it, yeah.
Well, I've got 2 little bottles of stuff somewhere. One's almond and one's cherry. Okay, so here is a tiny bottle of almond liqueur stuff. Not quite like amaretto. In fact, it smells of that glue we used to use at primary school. I am going to add some because I haven't found another use for it yet. Thank you, Isabel. Your holiday to Malta. It's come in very handy. And here I have a tiny bottle of cherry brandy liqueur from Longleat Safari Park. Again, I think the girls bought this for me. Don't know quite what they're saying by... That'll probably make it quite nice, I think. Okay, so I'm going to mix that in first. See what, do you know what, I am going to actually add the rest of that, and I think, yeah, just add a couple of glugs of any old alcohol, although saying that, I can't see that vodka is going to have the same effect as like rum or brandy or, oh, I tell you what would be nice, amaretto. Well, I suppose that's similar to the almond one. Right, I'm going to really try and mix that up because I do think that the vinegar and bicarb situation is going to react, and we need to possibly then put it in the oven. Right, so before we go any farther and add that, I think, potentially fizzy stuff, just going to get our tin ready. So it's a grease lime tin, so get your kitchen roll, a bit of margarine or butter, grease it round. That's that done. I think these tins that springform are very good. And then get your greaseproof paper out like that. I like to go a good inch in. Go around in a circle, and then I like to cut an inch around the actual circle. You'll understand why in a minute. And all the way around there. It's like a repeater. And then snip up to the circle with your scissors as you go round. To be honest, I really should have done this earlier if I actually was making something that I like to eat, but as I'm not. Okay, so there you've got your tin all at the bottom and bits coming up the side. And then you get a couple more lengths. And then, if you've buttered the side enough, which I haven't, I'm going to get some more kitchen roll, some more flora, margarine, butter, whichever, and then quickly go around the edge right up to the top this time, neaten everything off there, and then stick all the little bits back up, and then overlap the little sticky up bits with this new stuff, and that means that at no point will your cake come into contact with the actual tin and therefore stick. So again, this really is a job you should do before you start making your cake. The recipe didn't say what size tin, it just said a buttered mould or tin. So we are going for a 10-inch cake tin. Obviously, if it was smaller, you'd get a higher cake, and vice versa. Okay, so here we go. We're now going to add a tablespoon of vinegar to the bicarb, and as I thought, it's reacted and fizzed, so I'm going to whack that in there. I kind of presume this makes it rise or some such thing. My chemistry wasn't...
Yeah, I think it releases carbon dioxide and allows the cake to rise.
Well, hasn't the carbon dioxide already just been released in the fizz?
I think it just carries on.
Oh. So I'm presuming we really, really need to mix that in as well as possible. But patience has never, ever, ever been my strong point. So thick. This actually, I may look a bit odd the way I'm doing this, but it's actually really, really hard and heavy.
Fold it over like dough.
Why don't you fuck off?
I'm full of good advice.
Yeah.
Well, at least I read the recipe.
Yeah, well, you could have helped me then.
Well, I am helping.
Right, that'll do. And then, actually, get a spatula, one of my favourite cooking items. I do absolutely love spatulas, probably because I hate wasting food of any kind, and there is no need to waste anything when you have a spatula. So get your tin, and there we go. This is your gunk.
It's not my gunk, it's Mrs. Beeton's gunk.
Yeah, Mrs. Beeton's gunk. But I suppose this will save me having to do what I usually do, which is Christmas Eve think, oh fuck, I didn't get a Christmas cake to put the little snowmen and things on that the kids, even at their age, like to do. I will not have to run out looking for one. We will now have one. So push it to the sides, but I wouldn't have thought it makes a lot of difference with a cake that's going to cook this slowly. It's only really less than half filled, this tin, so I suppose the recipe says between Is it an hour and 3/4 and 2
And 2 1/4. Yeah.
And there it goes. In there. I'm going to try it for an hour and a half. That is in there. We now need to find something like a metal skewer, because the way to test, that will do, nice Victorian carving fork. To test whether a cake is ready, particularly something like this, which is a long time until Christmas and you don't want it going mouldy in the middle, you pop something metal in, push it to the side slightly, pull it out, and if there's any still wet sticky stuff on the metal, it's not ready yet. So I'm going to leave that there. It's now nice and ready until the oven beeps in an hour and a half's time. And I can now clear up, because unfortunately, unlike Mrs. Bloody Beeton, I don't have a maid or a butler